es la voz de LA. It's like una galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell the haters shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goals during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans out there, wherever you may be. For all you MLS fans, you're welcome here too. And indeed, if you're a fan of the beautiful game, you have a home here too. Today, we're back to regularly scheduled programming as it's another edition of Sad Fool Hours, aka Group Therapy Time, or as I'm now referring to it, Sad Fool Season, as the Galaxy went on the road to Colorado looking to wipe the slate clean from a cruel first half of the season, only to be met with more weird occurrences, this time in the form of a weather delay. But it was probably to the Galaxy's benefit that this game wasn't being played, because after 2 hours of waiting, Galaxy fans were finally then treated to one of the most uninspired and lethargic performances of the season by the G's that culminated in a 2-0 defeat on Wednesday night, June 25th. We'll look at the reasons why the Galaxy was off the pace, get Greg Vandy's thoughts on the performance, and debate whether or not this Galaxy team has the mentality to lift itself out of its malaise. And they better, because we'll also be bringing you a Galaxy versus San Jose preview for the 104th edition of the Cali Clasico. Plus, we bring you updates from the beautiful summer of soccer tournaments that's going on here in the U.S. All of that and more coming up on La Cuna Galaxiana. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon, and you can always find my written work at Extra Time Talk and the Sporting Tribune. And of course, I'm here, so you know that means my co-host, el papá de Natita, la más bella, chiquita perrita, que vino desde España, Anandita Querana, está aquí. And you know what? I'd prefer just to talk about dogs for the next hour and a half. Can we do that?
Oh man, I wish we could. It'd be a much more fun affair. Right now, we're just talking about dross at this point. So
I feel like, and we'll get into this. I feel like people will be able to go back to, like, you know, a couple episodes ago and kind of just like listen and be like, oh, okay, that's what the Galaxy played like. And then they could go back a couple of weeks before that and be like, oh, okay, that's what the Galaxy played like. Because nothing's really changing. And so with that in mind, Papa, shoot out your one word at me.
Well, it's funny that you said that. And even before we got on this pod, we were backstage and kind of like pulling up certain things from older agendas. And we're like, we've already talked about this, right? We've already talked about this. And so
Déjà vu.
And so I have 2 words for you, Baba. I'm going to cheat a little bit, but it's gonna make sense and be worth it. Which is my match reaction is Groundhog's Day, Baba. Groundhog's Day. I feel like we are beating the nail on the head on these same points over and over and over again.
Yeah,
till we're blue in the face, right? And so that's why, like, it's contributing to the lack of enjoyment watching this team right now, because I feel like I'm literally watching the replay of the exact same thing every match. And so for me, it's Groundhog's Day, man. And it's like, I don't know what can be done to sort of change that, and other than just literally just playing better individual performances, and better mentality. We'll talk about all those things in the talking points later on in the show when we do the match reaction. But Papa, Groundhog's Day, Papa, all over again. This is 2025. And to be honest, if I want to take it even further back, this is shades of like 2023 when we covered that season and we were seeing the same repeatable patterns over again.
I think this is worse than 2023. Like, at least in 2023, you could point to different things, you know, like more, it felt more tangible, like where the lapses were the las fallas donde estaban, right now it's like, dang, really, like, did that just happen? Or like there's been a couple points this season, and like I mentioned and you know, at the top of the show, like it's just a weird occurrence after weird occurrence, you know. Weather delay obviously didn't help, you know, and look at me trying to give them an out, but I mean, definitely it messes with your body, right? But no, I mean, you're right. Nothing is really changed. I mean, I joke about it all the time. I'm tired of writing the same headline, and you know what? It just gotten to the point where I can, you know, drag and drop the headline. So anyway,
I know I'm like running out of like frustrated Galaxy faces to sort of clip to add to my thumbnail. At this point, I'm like literally Googling. I was
You're like, I need content, son.
Was so close to pulling up that old Chicharito photo when he was like dragging it all the way up on the floor. The thumbnail
man,
today,
well, that's what it feels like, man.
Absolutely,
it feels like Chicharito days, man.
Absolutely,
you're right. It's super frustrating, and I'm with your sentiments, man. It's Groundhog Day. I was actually going to throw out that one Tom Cruise John at you Day After Tomorrow, I believe, the one where he keeps repeating the same day over and over again. He's like a soldier against the alien.
Oh, right. Yeah. Nice movie.
So I was going to pull out that one at you, but yeah, I mean, in that one, I mean, I feel like it's more applicable than Groundhog's Day, because a bunch of fools get murked out in the Tom Cruise one, and that's what's been happening. Just fools been getting murked out, and they aren't picking up these wins, man. And you know what? Like it's getting kind of worrying now, because you're starting to see stuff like the body language, and you know. Anyway, we'll get more into that, but
I was gonna say, we're on a historically bad pace, Papa. If this doesn't change, like we're 20 games in already, 19 games, whatever it is.
Bad historical record.
We're on a historically bad pace. Like I could have never imagined that this could be worse points wise, goals wise, all the stats. This could be worse than 2023 or even 2017. I mean, again, like this is a historically bad pace. So it's like, how do we go from, like, how do we change the narrative? Like, where do we go from here? And those are all more questions than answers, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, but you know what? It's man, me and Ananda were backstage. We're like, oh, you know what? Let's be brief on points and stuff like that. But like, here we are dragging on this one point. But it's like, you know, you see this team just keep on doing the same things. I mean, Scott's calling it out right here. Like, why they kicked the kick out of bounds twice. I mean, on the Spanish telecast, they clowned them. Like, they were like, oh, and the Galaxy pierde la pelota otra vez. It's like, yeah, man, you did the same thing again. Of course, it didn't work the first time. It's not going to work the second time. Like, what's wrong with you guys? But anyway, Ananda, we're going to vent a bunch coming up, so you might as well do your thing, and then we'll go ahead and hit the folks up with some announcements.
Yeah, just getting the housekeeping out of the way per the usual. You guys can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana, and our tags are right there. If you guys want to hit us up on the socials, go ahead and do that. And of course, you can find us at Lacuna Galaxiana on all your socials. We've been posting a lot of like more clips, so if you want to enjoy us in more bite-size, fun-size content, you guys can enjoy our content that way as well. Even though a lot of it's probably not positive, you know, we try to bake a few fun things. We try to bake a few fun things in there, you know, like the episode that we did with Mr. Josh Gessman on episode 200, and of course we played a little game called Who Said It, or Whose Line Is It Anyway, whatever. Greg or Taylor, yeah. We try to make things fun and light for y'all, because watching this team, like I said, it's not fun right now. It's we're watching absolute.
Josh was a Taylor Swift master.
Exactly. And speaking of old episodes as well, really quick plug to the episode that I did with Alex. Again, if you guys love Tacticos, tactics, you guys like you know, the nerdy stuff, go ahead and check out that video that Alex and I did. A New Hope. Well, we thought it was A New Hope, but you know, the Galaxy always tend to let us down on these things, but it is what it is. Go ahead and check that video, guys, as well. And of course, Papa, or I guess anyone in the chat, if you guys want to be the VP of likes today, go ahead, guys, and smash those likes up. Really, really appreciate it. We are really close to 700 subs, so go ahead and keep on subbing, because I know that through the stats, because since I'm the stats guy, a third of you that listen to the show are not subbed yet. So go ahead and give us a chance, guys. Go ahead and hit that sub button and hit the notification bell so that you do know when cool guests are going to come on. We're going to announce one pretty shortly here. But so yeah, that would be a huge help to us and this channel. And of course, Papa, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de Sad Food Hours in Sad Food Season. And nos vamos. Ay. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, like Ray Charles said, hard times, who knows better than I. Yeah, Ananda, you were talking just a second ago about subscribing, because you'll find out when we have, awesome guests. And on Monday, we're going to be joined by MLS and Apple TV play-by-play man Keith Costigan. Man, we've been watching this cat call games for a cool minute, and if you've been watching soccer at all in the United States, and in the past decade, you've heard this man's voice, you've heard his call. Him and Moedu are always entertaining to listen to. So go ahead and tune in on Monday, and you'll go ahead and get his thoughts on the Galaxy season and other topics that we might be talking about. We might be talking about some Alexi Lawless comments that he dropped over the past couple of days. So tune in on Monday. And if you are one of those that is going to be going to games, Pups at the Pitch returns for a third year. Bring your furry friends to the digs. And now you have 4 opportunities to do so, beginning July 12th versus DC United. You can also attend with your furry friend on August 10th versus Seattle, August 30th versus FC Dallas, as mine is shouting in the background, Dad, I want to go to Pups at the Pitch. We're talking about it, Kobe. We're talking about it. And then the last day is on September 20th versus FC Cincinnati. And at that one, it's going to be really cool, Ananda, because they have a Galaxy dog park set up for the pooches. So that one's going to be a doggy takeover for the day. And I know that the homie Marvin is in chat. I'm sure that Migos can go. I don't know if you got like a little sling for him or whatever, but I'm sure they don't discriminate. So guys, this ticket pack starts at $35. If you are a season ticket member, you can go ahead and go onto your fan account and add a ticket for your pup gratuity, gratis by the Galaxy. Of course, there like a lot of these different events put on by the Galaxy, there is a waiver, so make sure and get that done. And now we go down to some news. We actually have some sad news. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about this man and how we needed to have him on the show so we can hear all his stories about covering the Galaxy. And now it looks like it's too late. I mean, it's a shame, but we have to report that Ronaldo Veloz Gonzalez, El Veloz, the Spanish voice of the Galaxy, has passed. He passed away yesterday on June 25th. And, it's a devastating loss for a lot of the Spanish-speaking media who looked up to him. He is known as the pride of Guatemala and one of the biggest radio voices in Spanish-language media. Joe Tutino, who is the English voice of the Galaxy, of course, y'all know him. He had his own thoughts on El Veloz, and he says, "Rest in paradise to my colleague on the Spanish side of Galaxy broadcasts. Ronaldo and I hosted the very first LA Galaxy Championship celebration and offered each other good luck for each of our shows when we'd see each other. A great loss. My condolences to the Gonzalez family and his KW colleagues." Yeah, no, this is big, man. I mean, the Galaxy have traditionally done a good job of backing up their Latino fans, or giving their Latino fans, what they need. Not so great recently. We've covered that pretty extensively, but this is even another blow. Having a man that's regarded by so many, his loss is going to be big. You can't replace these kinds of talents, right? And and furthermore, I mean, I know that family's suffering, so my condolences to the family. It's a big loss for the Jesus community. So rest in peace, El Veloz. And yeah, moving on. FIFA Club World Cup is still happening at the moment. Tuesday's results from Group C. Boca Juniors and Auckland played to a 1-1 draw. That one was a huge result for Auckland, who had a team comprised of just every kind of different job you can imagine, except for professional soccer player. They tie one of the biggest South American clubs on the face of the planet 1-1. They leave with their heads held high. Benfica beats Bayern 1-0. LAFC and Flamengo tied 1-1, and Chelsea they go ahead and win 3-0 in their final group match. Flamengo, Chelsea, Benfica, and Bayern advance. And Wednesday, those results we have Dortmund, Fluminense, Monterrey, and Milan advancing. And in today's results, you have Man City as the only team to win all three group games. They beat Juventus 5-2. Al Ain beats Wydad 2-1. And I know this result is going to make Ananda very, very happy. And Group H, Real Madrid sweeps aside Salzburg 3-0. Ahlal 2-0 over Pachuca. Ananda, like I said, you're probably very, very happy over this result.
Hey, not just me, man. Papa Jalon también.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Like, Papa Jalon has he right now he's like, oh, I miss Ancelotti. I don't know about this new coach yet, so I'm not even worried about him right now. He's gonna take a couple of weeks.
Tell him we in good hands. Don't worry. Xabi Alonso, man, Madrid legend.
It's gonna take a couple of weeks, right? But as soon as I saw this result, I was like, oh, Ananda gonna be happy. What result? I mean, what game are you looking most forward to in their round of 16, man? Are you looking forward to the next Real Madrid match, or are you looking maybe towards one of these European powerhouse teams play a South American powerhouse team?
No, man. You know what? I'm actually going to be a homer, and I think the most intriguing one to me is how Inter Miami holds up against PSG, Papa. That's going to be a super interesting match, right? Inter Miami, the only MLS team to come out of the group, really one of two CONCACAF teams that came out of the group stage. Them and move it there. Them and what's the other team? Monterrey, right? So they were the only two teams. So man, that's going to be a fun one, just to see how do we hold up, or how does MLS and how does Miami and the star-studded crew there, how do they hold up against PSG? Because that is going to be a huge test, right? I feel like Inter Miami's probably going to have to bunker in, play a little bit on the counter, rely on, Tallende and some of those guys in the counterattack, even Luisito to a certain extent. So this to me is the most interesting game. That's for sure. Not just being a homer as well.
Yeah, no, I was gonna comment the same, but just because you know me, I like the pettiness, and this one has all kinds of petty written all over it. I mean, Messi playing his former team, man's talked so much diss track on PSG that it'll be interesting to see how they receive him. Some of his former teammates, Marvin, also bringing the petty. I love it, Papa. Inter Miami with 3 PKs called in favor of Messi against PSG. Watch. Yeah, most likely. It would be a shock if this one doesn't have some kind of controversy or something like that going on in it. But keep your eyes peeled, because the round of 16 is going to be crazy. And yeah, this is going to be one of the glamour ties, but there are other really fun matches in the round of 16. So go ahead and keep watching DAZN. All these matches are free, so all you got to do is jump online or get the app. So catch this match on June 29th, Inter Miami versus PSG, the European champions. The Gold Cup quarterfinals are set as well. So Panama and Honduras will meet on Saturday, June 28th at 4:15 p.m. That's after Panama beat Jamaica 4-1 in their last group game, and Honduras beat Curacao 2-1. Guatemala and Canada will be facing off on Sunday, June 29th at 1 p.m. And the U.S. will also be playing Costa Rica that same day at 4 p.m. Mexico plays the nighttime game on Saturday, June 28th versus Arabia Saudita after tying Costa Rica in their last group stage match 0-0. Ananda, now that the quarterfinals here are set for the Gold Cup, do you have a favorite? Do you think that Poch's boys are going to go ahead and do the business and get this trophy, or do you maybe see that Costa Rica might knock them out here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think they have to win that first game to even be in the conversation, right? They haven't really shown an ability, at least under Poch, to sort of get into those even finals, get into those big games and advance through. I mean, again, the level of competition hasn't been great. They beat Trinidad and Tobago, who they should have beat. Arabia Saudi was a little bit more of a tougher test, but again, they're gonna have to show it. And I think this team is in prove me wrong, or sort of that prove me mode right now. And I think a lot of U.S. national fans, MNT fans, are probably in the same boat. It's like, show me first, right? But if I'm not mistaken, Rob, is this set up for a U.S. Mexico semifinal if both teams advance? I could be wrong about that, but that would be spicy.
Know.
Yeah,
I don't know how the table looks like on one side of the. One would imagine that it's going to be set up for them to.
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Yeah. Confirm that, because it would be a shame if they met in the semifinal, instead of the final, because those are always spicy meatball. But who knows if the U.S. based on current form will even get there. So anyway, when Ananda confirms that. Excuse me. The All-Star list has dropped. The MLS All-Star list has dropped. Hey, now you're an All-Star, and no Galaxy players are on it for the first time. But there are 4 Whitecaps players, 3 San Diego players, 2 Inter Miami Stars. This one is interesting, Ananda, because 16 out of the 26 All-Stars that are going to represent MLS are All-Stars for the first time. So it's a nice, varied roster here. And I mean, I'm a sucker for, me, for vinyl, first off. And this is like, I gotta give my hands up to whoever the graphic, whoever the graphic designer is on this one, because this one is really, really fire. I really enjoyed this one. And I don't know if you caught the subtle like nods to like classic records and in these records here, but I'll leave you to go ahead and puzzle over some of these Easter eggs. But yeah, really, really fire design here. Were there any, like, I guess, surprises to you that got chosen, or were you just like, that seems pretty fair?
I mean, should I be surprised that Jordi Alba got picked? I mean, I feel like a lot of these were like, should I be surprised? Maybe not, because in the end, it's kind of a popularity contest, right? Most of these players get voted in. I think I'm more surprised on the snubs, maybe more than not. But again, like, All-Star, it's always, again, to me, it's, I don't know, even NBA All-Star, man, I don't really put too much stock into those things anymore. I feel like they're just more for the fans and more for the exhibition and more for a display of talent than anything else. Like, the game's not even that serious, right? It's just, I don't know. And it's kind of ironic too, that, which we'll talk about, which is like, in the past, deep cut, Alanis Morissette, there you go. It's ironic that the Galaxy in the past, like, especially as fans, like, we dread this game. It's like, no, wrap them up in cotton wool. Let them stay home. This is a complete waste of time. Don't let them get injured, right? And this year, well, big womp for the Galaxy side.
Yeah, it was funny. Tucker, who's now, I used to say Tucker out in the Carolinas, but now I say Tucker, who's in the islands, Island Tuck. He was like, yeah, there was no Galaxy player that the Don could just kind of like finagle in there last minute. Yeah, perfect segue, Ananda. That was a beautiful cut right there. Good job. So Galaxy fan talk with the no other Galaxy player in the MLS All-Star team. This is, I believe, the first time that's happened. So
30 years.
Dang. This making more records. But yeah, you called out how you weren't really surprised by anybody, but you were more surprised by some of the snubs. Who was your big surprise on the snubs?
Well, I mean, like you just look at the top scoring goal, the Golden Boot list, right? For a second, I mean, you look at names like Sam Surridge, for example, Kevin Denke, right? Some of those guys that I don't know if it's because they're in quote unquote smaller market teams. I don't know what it is, but they seem like they haven't gotten the love. Even a guy like Chicho Arango, right? Guys freaking killing it out in San Jose. I mean, even if you look at even just from pure stats, like Christian Espinoza, like that front three of San Jose, any one of them could have made it. Any one of them, because they're absolutely on fire, right? So again, maybe they just don't get no love. I don't know what it is. Again, I stick by, I will die by the fact that this is just purely popularity contest, and that's it.
Yeah, man, I might get cooked in the chat right now, but Christian Espinoza not making this squad is criminal. This man is second in assists in the league and first in chances created by a long shot. So I looked at his stats like overall, and he's in the top 3 in several different creative playmaking categories. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, if you don't add to this player, like, is it really an all-star game? I mean, like, isn't the all-star game like the best players in the league? Like,
yeah,
I mean, that's really what an all-star game should be, not a popularity contest. But anyway, we know MLS is going to MLS. But speaking of MLS is going to MLS, the MLSPA salary breakdowns list has dropped, and there were a couple of things to note here. The Galaxy have 5 players making more than $1 million at the moment. That's Fagundes, Peck, Painso, Puig, and Ruiz. And their new signings, according to our colleague El Profe Alex, Zanka as at 600K, Nasi's at 571 to 5. Lucas Sanabria is a shade under 700K. Cristian Ramirez that's 571 basically. Elijah Winder 175, and Marcin Kowski is at 250K. Other notables here. We have a couple of things from Alex as well here on notable LA Galaxy pay raises. So Garces got a raise, Cerrillo got a raise, Aude got a raise, McCarthy got a raise, and Yamane got a raise, and of course Ricky Puig got a raise. And I'm gonna harken back to Island Tuck one more time, who said if Ricky Puig's agent is competent at all, he's going to get his client a fat pay raise coming up. So who knows? Could be. But Corner of the Galaxy also, did their thing on the figures here. According to Josh, the Galaxy are spending 22.8 on guaranteed compensation this year, puts them in the top 5 in the league in spending, at number 5 at 22.8 million. And this one's going to hurt, guys. The Galaxy on 8 points at the moment. Each point that they've earned has cost them $2.258 million. Ooh, Charles, these are some expensive points. So, if you were bummed out about the loss, here's some more facts to bum you out. And I'm sorry we had to do it to you. We were just reporting what we see out there. But these are wild. These are wild numbers, man.
I think honestly, Will Kuntz is probably looking all that stuff and just shaking his head, pulling out his hair, doing whatever, right, to basically cope with the fact that this just ain't it. Like, there's so much investment into this team, and who decides mostly who makes the final decision on player personnel, right? It's really him. It's Will Kuntz. So I'm sure he's taking that to heart, Rob, and he's probably looking at this and saying, okay, maybe there were some missteps here, but how do we correct this moving forward? I think that's going to be an interesting now story that we've got to pay attention to. Maybe we might talk about some of these things as we analyze the team and its most recent performance, right? Because I mean, we've got to look at that and say that's just horrible, right? That's absolutely atrocious.
It is. I really wanted to bring out a selection of my favorite tweets from after the loss, but I didn't want to bring down group therapy even more. So I just kind of left it out. But yeah, it's interesting that you brought up Will Kuntz because it's there was already a mini transfer window for the teams participating in the Club World Cup, but the transfer window is getting close to being open, and the transfer rumors are already starting. One that I heard today, actually, and then it died very, very quickly, and I'm very glad it did, was Thomas Partey to the LA Galaxy, just purely based on him wearing a Galaxy shirt and him being a free agent. Ananda, comments?
Well, there's this ITK out there at Ananda Galaxiana. He said, not an ITK, but going to kill this rumor now. He turned down an extension in Arsenal and wants a pay rise. His current salary, Rob, is £200,000 per week. I don't know what the currency converter on that is, but I'm going to guess that's around 250 to 300 pounds a week. The Galaxy, meanwhile, I did the math on this because I took the total salary cap number and divided by 52, which is how many weeks there are in a week or in a year. The entire team, Rob, is roughly on $440K a week. And for me, I said the math just ain't mathin'. So I squashed it right away because there's this, I mean, of course you guys know I'm a huge Arsenal fan, huge saga around Thomas Partey that he basically declined his extension. He wants to get the bag. He wants to get paid more, closer to maybe 250, even close to 300,000 pounds a week. And then a few days later, the Arsenal signed, or at least it's not official yet, but here we go from Fab Romano for Christian Norgard from Brentford. So that is going to be him and Zubimendi are going to be our new midfield stalwarts. So I think he's looking for the bag, man. I think honestly, JP just gave him that shirt, Ghanaian brother, and call it a day. Just want to show him some love. That's pretty much what that photo was.
Yeah, well, on the flip side, I mean, you don't think there's a chance in hell of it happening, and I'm saying hell no. Man's been credibly accused of sexual abuse, so I probably want to keep that away from the club or the team if I'm Will Kuntz. I mean, speaking of questionable personnel decisions, this would definitely be a big questionable one. But you know what? I'm not the guy in charge, so there are more transfer rumors happening, Ananda. This one is back, actually. We've actually talked about this one before per Diego Fermino and TV Spirito Deporte. Palmeiras are interested in Gabriel Pecci again. They are also sounding out ex-Galaxy target Ramon Sosa. It looks like that Pecci's been a long-standing target of the board of Palmeiras for a while. They view him as their dream player. So we'll keep you informed on this one. But as the Galaxy looks to do something for winning one game in 19, now what once was maybe thought of as definitely not happening, the Galaxy not selling Gabriel Pecci, maybe this is a shakeup that they might need. Who knows? But
yeah, I don't think he's moving this year. We talked about what his transfer value would be right now in transfer market's about 10 mil euros. I think it's on is the currency on transfer market. But the way he's playing this year, and we'll talk about his performance later, he's not worth more than a bag of chips right now. But really, he is. I think his transfer value, his appeal has tanked, and to me, I would think that his next move is probably a European league. I think to a team like Palmeiras, back to the Brazilian league, I think might be a little bit of a step sideways or even backwards in his career progression, in my opinion.
I don't know. Palmeiras is I mean, you see them in the Club World Cup right now. I mean, they're one of the biggest clubs in South America. In a huge soccer mad country, he'd be at home. I mean, depending on we were just talking about Partey getting the bag. I mean, depending on what kind of bag they throw him, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I agree with you though. I don't think he leaves this year, but I mean, he's definitely being sounded out, and we know that he's been sounded out before by different players. So this one is squashed. And then this one looks like it's going to be squashed as well. We reported that Julian Aude was being looked at by Argentinos Jr., and this one was squashed by the stash or Gambit with the good hair, Tommy Bogert, who was reporting that Claudio Bravo from Portland Timbers was being signed by Argentinos Jr., so obviously that kills the Julian Aude rumor to Argentinos Juniors, and we've talked about his contract situation as well, and he's just not getting the playing time, but it could be that he should be getting the look. We'll talk about that in a moment, Ananda.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, let's just jump in the game. Let's just jump into this game.
Yeah. By the way, guys, everyone in the chat too, forgot to mention earlier, but this is Sad Foo Hours. So if you do have something that you want to get off your chest, you want to debate Rob and I on something, you want to trash talk on someone, go ahead, get your feelings out there. We're here for you guys. We could talk. We could talk over some.
You're really bringing the petty today.
We could talk about this over wings and a beer, which is how we started this pod. But super chats are up, guys. So go ahead, and if you have a question or again want to get your thoughts out there, go ahead. That super chat button is always there for you. But yeah, Rob, let's get into this damn match.
Papa says I'm sad. Me too, man. What else is there to say? Big Lex, what up? What up to everybody in chat? Really, you guys are really the reason we're here. Because trust. If we weren't doing this, we would just be bummed and just kind of upset. But what would we be upset about, Ananda? The Galaxy had a couple days off. They had an international break to wipe the slate clean, work on a bunch of stuff. They get to Colorado to play the Rapids, and then there's a weather delay. They go out after a 2-hour break and fall 2-0 to the Rapids for the first time in 5 matches, and probably one of the most uninspired, and I would have to say just not with the performances of the season. I know that there was a G that was posting on Twitter that he said that he was actually there at the game. He said that it was probably the second worst performance that he's ever seen from the Galaxy, and he's been an original 96er. So that says a lot. The Galaxy started well. They actually came out and had a couple of good passages of play. I thought they might actually get a goal in Galaxy fashion. They had a lot of possession, didn't really do anything with it. But has been the custom this season. When you least expect it, the Galaxy conceded first. This time off a good Sam Vines cross that finds Georgi Mihailovic, who, to be fair, I don't even think is 6 foot. Somehow he gets in between Emilio Garces and Maya Yoshida to head home the 1-0. Again, somehow,
doesn't need to be with our defending, Baba.
Somehow, some way, it happens. And then 4 minutes later, after a good passage of play, good give and go in the box, Calvin Harris finds space, and he strikes past Mikovic's near post. A couple people out there had the criticism that maybe Mikovic should have done better. I think the defense in general should not have let Calvin Harris have that much space and time to wind up. Again, the Galaxy had tons of possession, 60% of possession in this match. They also outshot Colorado, and then outshot Colorado with shots on goal as well, 14 shots and then 5 shots on goal. It was just a pretty bad performance, Ananda, and it's not even just coming from me. It's coming from Greg as well. We'll get into his comments in a moment, but let's start where we always do. Let's look at this lineup. I tweeted before the game that I didn't put out my normal lineup tweet. I was a little late to the game here, so I subtweeted the Podfather here, and I just commented that for me, this was the strongest possible 11. What do you think?
I agree. Maybe other than one selection, which I will talk to in a little bit. But yeah, man, I even said it. Can't remember when I said it, but I said that to me, this defense is only going to be sort of noteworthy with Garces back in the starting 11 and at his best. Again, if we think about that run last year, Papa, Garces was that wild card that we didn't expect. And I think it took us from a maybe average to below average defense to probably slightly better, good enough to win MLS Cup defense, right? And so the fact that his drop-off has been huge this year has been a real problem. Well, I want to talk about, I think him, I think there's some things that maybe we can point to in terms of what's happening there. Maybe we'll have a chance to talk about it later in the talking points. But for me, I mean, we talked about it. You just said it a moment ago. Like, what does Julian Aude have to do to get in this team? I feel like you and I both agree. You and I.
That's a shot for you. That's a shot for you.
I think we both agree that he has the higher ceiling than John Nelson. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that John Nelson is a bad player. He obviously won MLS Cup for us. He's a more than serviceable defender. But I think at this point, especially when you don't have a guy like Ricky Puig who can break through lines, break through pressure, Julian Aude, even in his cameo, Rob, you see that he has the ability to dribbling ability to get through the lines and get high up in the attack, right? Which is where we need him. So I think that's probably, going back to your earlier point, is this is probably the strongest possible lineup. Yes, but maybe with a Julian Aude in there would be my only question mark. And then I guess I have this question for you, Baba. You know, Ruiz has probably been our best player. His inclusion for me wasn't a surprise, but just a low impact performance for me. What do you think? You think it was more on him individually, or do you think it was just the team not functioning and really not finding him enough and or playing off of him enough?
Combination of all of the above. I mean, he didn't have a great night. The team didn't have a great night, so thus they're not going to be making the runs that they need to make to be able to let him thread the needle. It just wasn't a good performance from anybody. Really, the only person that I could really say that even deserves a shout is maybe Mikovic. He had a couple of good saves early, but then again, he got criticism for that second goal. So I don't think that that it was necessarily his fault, but let's give folks out there the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, Julian Aude brings a different dimension. Greg's talked about it a bunch about how John Nelson's a better defensive option or more sound defensively, and Julian Aude is more offensive. And what has this team been lacking is offense. So obviously it's been lacking defense as well, but it's one of these things now, like, it hasn't been working this way. Let's try something else. I want to go ahead and look at these comments by El Hermano Lex right here. He says, I heard Vanny say the team looked prepared for whatever reason versus Colorado. Isn't that his job, to prepare the team week in and week out? They had 11 days off. How are they unprepared? Well, Lex, he let us know in the presser that he specifically told the team, this isn't how you trained. This isn't how you came out and you've been playing recently. And so it looked like it was kind of even a shock to him how disconnected, how unorganized, how kind of like slow on the day they were. He referenced the altitude a couple times in reference to Lucas Sanabria, but I really think it wasn't just Lucas Sanabria that was suffering from that altitude. I think it was the team in general. He mentioned that, this was a tough game to go out and play after a couple weeks off. And again, these are, legitimate, but it's also something that the other team had to face as well. The 2-hour layoff, they were playing at home, so they are used to the altitude a little bit more. But
it's funny because Lex goes on to say Vanny excuse generator. I mean, look, I could easily make the same argument that where was that excuse last year when we pummeled Colorado 3 times in a row, last game of the season and in the playoffs, right? So again, I think it is a factor, but I think now we're at the point where we can't use it as a crutch anymore. I think there's just been way too many crutches. I could see both sides, and we could squash that right away. The fact of the matter is we laid another stinker.
It was a big old stinker, man. Yeah. Lex actually put out a tweet that again, I wanted to be really petty Rob and just like pick my favorite Galaxy tweets out there in the world, and Lex already knows that we love his tweets and we cackle, we die laughing on him. But he put out a Greg Vanny tweet, and it cut off, and so I had to hit like the read more. Then at the bottom it said like Greg Vanny probably. And I was convinced it was like a real quote. And I was like, I don't remember him saying that. But yeah, what's that meme? I'm not going to lie. You had me on the first half. Yeah. you had me, Lex. You got me in the first half, and when I checked it out, I was like, okay. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the excuses are not there anymore. I mean, even in the Spanish broadcast you were talking about, like, there's only one player is missing from this team, is Ricky Puig, and yes, like, he is that unicorn player. He is a really good player, but to have only one win in 19 games, but I mean, it's just
no. Yeah,
you said it earlier. The math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, we can't buy that anymore. Exactly.
I can't go for that. Oh no. Anyway, the Galaxy had been on a run against Colorado, and now they fall to Colorado for the first time in 6 games, and the pain, it looks like it's going to continue, Ananda, because at least on paper, San Jose looks really good this weekend, but and the Galaxy aren't doing themselves any favors by being so wasteful in attack. I mean, do you have any stats to maybe go ahead and support maybe where the Galaxy are falling flat?
Yeah, well, you pretty much prefaced it right there, which is a huge part of this is being wasteful in the attack, Rob. I mean, the narrative of this game was very easy. I mean, if you look at this game on paper, in terms of what we did in the attack or what we did in the buildup specifically, we did a pretty good job. 64% possession to Colorado's 36, 14 shots to their 8, Rob. And we doubled the amount of passes, 738 total passes versus 330. So you look at that and you say, okay, at a 91% clip, and you say, okay, well, the Galaxy, clearly we're the dominant team. We have a lot of the possession. So there should be output out of that, right? But that's the problem, is the output wasn't there. With all that possession, all that passing. And again, this is why I go back to the Groundhog's Day comment, because I remember saying this exact same thing even in 2023 when we had all this possession, but the passing was sideways and backwards, and it wasn't through, and we couldn't finish the final action. And you see it there, even shots on goal, we only had 5, but Colorado still had 4 with only 36% possession, Rob. This is what I said going to the preview. Remember that stat that I pulled up is they only averaged 45% possession this year. So they're pretty comfortable without having the ball, right? And they could probably hurt you if your defense is basically the Galaxy's. It's pretty much what it is. And out of all that possession, again, we only generated 0.8 expected goals to their 1. And so I think that's really the crux of this game, man, which is the buildup was okay. Clearly, I mean, even in I would say the first 10 minutes were actually really positive. I even tweeted about it. I said first 5 or 10 minutes, balls pinging around, moving fast. I was like, oh, okay.
I love your optimism whenever the game starts, and you put out your tweet and you're all optimistic.
But I see what I see, because remember, I told you pre-match, or the day, when we were doing the preview, I said I thought we were going to start slow. I didn't think we were going to start fast, but we actually did start fast from the ball, the tempo, the movement. I mean, we got into some dangerous positions in the first 5-10 minutes, and I was like, all right, this is the time that we got to score an early goal. But in fact, we didn't score any goals because we were completely wasteful in the attack. I mean, again, with all that possession, twice as many passes, only generating that much XG. And the frustrating thing, Rob, was that I think these were, I'll just pull up my tweets, because these were things that last year when we got into those attacking positions, more often than not, they were a goal. And so I'll read you sort of the ups and downs of my game watching experience, which is, this is 17th minute. Great opportunity on the break, but JP has to pick his head up sooner to pick out Peck. By the way, he was wide open, sprinting. His hand was raised.
Yep.
And I said, JP's been guilty of that lately, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. 36th minute, Nasi with a wonderful cutback, which, by the way, other than Mitrovic, I thought he also had a pretty good, decent game if we were to pick out positive performances. Had a couple cutbacks, actually, but in this 36th minute, it was the one that Peck and Reus just happened to get in each other's way. And that, again, last year, that's a goal, Papa. That's a goal, right? This year, absolutely nothing. And I even said in the 42nd minute, didn't even bother to call out the play. Repeat this post, but change the minute to 42. And that was basically like, and after that point, I just stopped tweeting. I was like, all right, let's see how this game goes in the second half. It was a complete snooze fest. So I didn't even bother tweeting. But yeah, man, like it's frustrating. Again, Groundhog's Day. We're seeing the same things over and over again. But Rob, what do you think, man? What if you had to put your finger on it, like, why are we being so wasteful in the final third from a team last year that was so prolific? It can't be just Ricky, can it?
No, he's a big part of it, but it's just like it's a combination of a bunch of different things. I mean, this team doesn't have that belief in themselves. I mean, we've talked about the confidence factor a bunch of different times.
Great point.
This team is quite often disconnected. So if Greg talks about the fine margins all the time, so can I. And so when you're that disconnected, when you're not where you need to be, I mean, let's look at the perfect excuse of kicking the ball out of play twice from kickoff, right? Like, how much more disconnected can you be? I mean, these things matter, right? So, you know, there's you'll love this one. There's a famous clip of Real Madrid playing Liverpool, and just this inch perfect pass that Vinny Jr. gets at the back post. I forget who puts in the pass to him, but it's like you can see in that slow-mo video how, like, literally centimeters influence that play, and those are where the margins are right now, right? And the Galaxy aren't winning those margins at the moment. And you know, there's been a couple of times when I've said, oh, you know, if Nasi had been able to get in front of that player, or you know, if Christian Ramirez had you know, been able to you know, get his head on that. But those are things, again, that, like, you know, if you have a confident JP crossing in from the wing, he's not going to overhit it. There was one cross that he got into the end line and he got in and it went straight to the keeper, right? So if you are in sync with your teammates, you're going to know that maybe don't shoot it right at the keeper. Go ahead and cut back a little bit. You know, he had two teammates right there, right? So just the huge disconnect, Ricky not being there to unlock. They don't have anybody to break those lines right now besides Marco Reus. So and when he's not on, the entire thing suffers. You know, and then we've already talked about the killer peas, man. I mean, they just only. Somebody I think said in chat, Joe 13 Cool says four goals between our two DPs. Peck and JP, really, that useless about Pooch. Come on. And no, they need to start picking up the production. I mean, it hasn't been good enough. They haven't produced. And I'm sure they're as frustrated as Galaxy fans are.
I mean, chat, help us out. What do you think is going on with them? I mean, you know, let's see. I think someone said, well, yeah, Joe 13 Cool said, really that useless without Pooj. XPH says, hot take, could Peck and Paintsel be overrated and Pooj set them up perfectly? Man, this is an interesting one. Lex says, I was looking for someone to step up at least and try to lead the guys last night. It's like 11 frustrated individuals out there. So here's the one observation that I had, Rob, kind of leading to that point a little bit, which is, and we'll get to that point. I think that's the last talking point that we had, but remember, we always used to berate Ricky about him playing hero ball. And so I look at Peck and Paintsel right now, and I
maybe not berate, but call it out.
Yeah, well, I think I even put it to a point where there's a little bit of like petulance in Ricky's game. There's a little bit of like me. But something happened last year, I think, especially when Marco Reus came in the team. I don't know what happened there, but whether it's the chemistry, whether it's the leadership, the mentorship, whatever that is, his game went to another level, right? Ricky's game, I mean. And it was kind of post-injury a little bit too when he was out for that little stretch. But remember, we always used to call Ricky out about playing hero ball, and now you look at Peck and Paintsel, and they're doing the same thing, Papa. It's just a slightly different version. I mean, you look at JP, there were so many chances. That one that I just called out in my tweet, Peck was wide open on the right side. All he needs to do is pick his head up. There was another play in the first half, Rob. Marco Reus goes on the outside of him, and JP doesn't even pick his head up. Meanwhile, tries to go for the far post. Whereas you could have easily slid in Marco Reus and let him make the final decision. For me, it was probably a left-footed shot, just low on the ground, he was in the 6-yard box already. But it's like, part of it is, I think they're trying, especially these two, they're trying so hard to do it themselves because they feel like they have to be the hero versus trusting their actual teammates, which is which was the formula for success last year. And I think some of that is because of the pressure that's building on this team. I think some of that is just maybe, especially in Peck's case, just a slight lack of experience, maybe a lack of leadership. I mean, I might get pelters for this too, but it's crazy that I feel like locker room guys like a Martin Cáceres, for example, for the Hispanic speaking guys like Emilio Garces, like some of these cats, right? I feel like some of that's just lost because there's no, like, these guys don't have their head on straight. I don't know if it was the altitude that were giving them brain fog. I don't know what it is, but I think for Peck and Paintsel in particular, it's the fact that I think they're just trying way too hard, Papa, and they're not trusting their teammates enough, which was the formula for success last year. I think they're playing too much hero ball, just like Ricky did in stages of last year.
Well, it's interesting you use the word trust, right? Because with trust comes knowing that your teammates are going to be there, and with that comes the belief of in winning, right? And in this match, you saw the Galaxy go down 2-0, and they had a shot of the bench of the Galaxy subs, and the body language, Papa, it was bad. They all had their heads down. They were frowning. It just didn't look like Greg could call on any of the players on the bench at the moment and they would come on and make a difference, because it didn't seem like they had that belief, and that's a big thing in sport is having that belief in yourself, that visualization, like we're going to win. Last year that was there, and even when the team was down 2-0, that belief was there. Yeah, we can overcome. The fans were like, yeah, we can overcome. Even myself, watching from the press box, there was a couple times last year, 2-0, end of the first half. Nah, they have time. They'll come back and win. This year, there's been a couple times when I've been like, oh, that does it. The 10 minutes of injury time, I was like, nah, they're not going to get the result. As soon as they announced the weather delay, I was like, I think that might be too much of a hurdle for this team to overcome. And so, yeah, I just don't know if that belief is there for them, that mentality is there for them. And to be honest, Greg was questioned about this yesterday. Judge Sophie asked him whether it was a mentality and leadership issue. And Greg had this to say.
I think to an extent it's fair. I don't, just because I've seen the last few games and I've seen the intensity which the group has been training and working. I think on the collective whole, we didn't meet the intensity level, and I think that intensity level. I think there were some guys on the field tonight who were just trying to survive the night physically, whether that's through the altitude or the challenges that are there. I felt like we had too many guys that were just worrying about kind of themselves and getting themselves through the game and trying to get themselves through the conditions. And I think sometimes that can translate into the things that you're seeing. Sometimes it translates to a lack of intensity. Sometimes it translates into a lack of connection. I felt a little bit of that, and I do think that at that point you really have to step up character-wise, and you have to dig in deep, and there has to be some leadership and pull some guys together and drive. And I felt like that was off a little bit tonight, so I would agree with that. I don't think it's been the character of the group for sure in this last bit or for much of it. So I take it a little bit with a grain of salt, and it's something that, again, we discussed in the locker room after the game that can't exist and can't happen.
You know what's crazy is that pretty much everything we talked about tonight and these talking points, and I called this out at the top of the show, are things that we've talked about with this team already. We were talking about how the Galaxy were wasteful in attack. A couple of shows ago, we were talking about how they were playing winnable games, but just the chances missed were costly. We've already talked about the wingers, the Galaxy DPs, the 2 Killa Ps, and how they had been lacking. And we've already talked about the mentality. And what's disappointing, Ananda, is that First off, it must be disappointing to our listeners that are like, ain't these fools already talked about this? Can't they be more original? Well, we'd like to, but it's what the Galaxy are giving us, guys. And so I that's what I'm saying, is it's disappointing that nothing has changed in the month plus since, we've talked about specifically these three things in a show. It was literally these three things that we talked about in a show, and nothing has changed. I mean, for that, I mean, just for that, I don't think I can, in good conscience, give a defending the badge this week, man.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and that's why, like, just even listening to Greg say those things, I mean, it's frustrating as a fan. I mean, even what XPH says here. By the way, shout out XPH. Thank you, Papa, for the super. He says, "Hey Rob, hey Ananda, ignore this if you've already discussed it. We can say altitude, etc., but it's 19 games in the season. Shouldn't excuses be over by now?" And I think that's how a lot of the LA Galaxy fan base is feeling right now, Papa, is the excuses are over, whether it's 3 games in a week, whether it's flying from this coast to that coast, whether it's not having Ricky, whatever it is, but we are talking about the same symptoms, right? And so that to me, I think, was the most disappointing, the most, what's the word? Like, the thing that gives me less and less hope about this team is it's all in between the years, man. I'm fully convinced it's all in between the years, whether it's JP and Peck just trying way too hard, not trusting their teammates. And you know what it is too? Maybe this is like a crazy thing. Maybe this is a crazy thing to say, but it's like they're not enjoying their football. They're not enjoying this at all. They're not enjoying.
Doesn't look like it.
They're not enjoying their job. They're not enjoying going to work every day. It just doesn't look like it to me. Like, they're not. Every time it's more like palms in the air and down faces, and versus like, smiling, or at least like having someone just be that Roy Keane or Patrick Vieira and just like grab that person by the scruff of the neck and be like, "Hey, you need to do this. What the hell are you doing?" Like, there's no kick up the backside for any of these players. And it feels like it's just hard labor for these guys, Papa. And they just don't look like they're enjoying their football. You know what? Being probably one of the worst teams in MLS history, I don't blame them, but they've got to break out of this mentality. Like, because I think that's just going to put you in a deeper hole. And they've got to find something in that locker room. And as I've been saying all year, take the stench out of losing in that locker room. I don't know what the solution is at this point, but something's got to change. Something's got to change quick.
Yeah, I agree, man. This is but we've been saying that something's got to change quick, and nothing has. And again, that's why the big disappointment. We've been talking about these things all year, and nothing has changed. The Galaxy have another opportunity to affect change and wipe the slate clean again this weekend when they play San Jose in the Cali Clasico. I just want to forget about this midweek game that just happened. Very disappointing. So trying to get a palate cleanser with this weekend's match. Thankfully, derby matches, Cali Clasicos, El Tráficos are always those matches that doesn't matter how bad these teams are playing, they always get up for. So let's look at where the Galaxy are after their most recent loss. After 19 matches, they hold a 1-13-5 record. They're still on 8 points, 0.42 points per game, negative 23 goal difference, 15th in last place. Per Kevin Baxter, the Galaxy are 32 points behind the Supporter Shield leader, 17 points out of a playoff berth. They've been shut out in 8 of those losses and have allowed a league high 41 goals. Oh, and also their negative 23 goal differential is also the worst in the league. Yeah, so San Jose, by contrast, just made a big jump in the table after 19 matches. San Jose holds a 7-7-5 record. They are one of the best offensive sides in MLS at the moment. 39 goals for, 31 goals against. That's a +8 goal differential if the math is mathing. 26 points for them in the table. Good enough for 5th place. 1.37 points per game. They just took out Dallas 4-2 last night in a game that also had a weather delay. So a lot of these things that we were describing for the Galaxy, they happen to other teams as well. Evidence here. San Jose went to Dallas. They faced a weather delay. They came out 1-4-2. They had a 1-1 tie away to Portland before that, and a 2-1 loss to St. Louis City before that. And the match that kind of was the end cap to that was a beating the Galaxy 1-0 at the Digs at just 4 or 5 games ago. Again, San Jose is one of the better offensive teams in the league this year. They've scored 10 goals in their last 5 matches. They have weapons. Lex said, "Come on, boys, we know this is a 3-1 game for San Jose."
He's throwing out predictions already.
Don't spoil it now. Don't spoil it now. But yes. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. This might be a bloodbath. So, anyways,
I really hope it's not, because, like I said, Cali Classicos are always hardly fought, and so I want them to show pride in the shirt, man. Go out there and you know, at least for one day, show fools that you're champions. You know, I've mentioned a couple times already. This is the 104th edition of this fixture, the California Clasico. The Galaxy holds an edge in the all-time 50-34-19, and 45 all-time regular road matches. They hold a 16, 18, and 11 record. They're unbeaten in the last 7 matches played on the road against San Jose. So that's encouraging. But again, the Galaxy have posted all kinds of unwanted records this year. The Galaxy were also unbeaten in 4 matches played across all competitions against the Earthquakes last year. In the last matchup between the teams, the Galaxy earned a 3-0 shutout win. That was on June 29th, 2024. These teams always have goals in this game. They have not drawn in the last 6 matches in this fixture. So expect this one to have goals. And Ananda's always talking about how he doesn't trust the defense. So expect there to be goals in this one. Only player missing for the Galaxy continues to be Ricky Pooch. Nico Sakiris and Noah Buck are missing for San Jose. These are negligible losses for San Jose. They haven't really been playing too much. Noah Buck, 4 matches under his belt. Nico has 6 matches under his belt. Ananda, do you expect Greg to go with the same lineup here?
Well, I think because of the short, I guess, the short time between games, I don't know. I mean, Marco played a full 90, which was a surprise to, I think, me and a lot of Galaxy fans. So I think Diego might start, Papa, in that number 10. And again, I don't know if it'll happen, but I would love to see Julian Aude get in there. I mean, again, we talk about the thing about Julian Aude, Papa. It's, you've spent so much on this guy in terms of transfer fee, right? In terms of bringing him in a U22 spot. You've invested in this guy, and this is his 3rd year. So it's like, this has to be a make or break year for him, because if not, whether it was Argentina Juniors or not, if you have a guy with that much talent riding on the bench, teams are going to take notice, and they're probably, phoning up Will Kuntz asking about this kid, because they know the potential that he has. So I would just love to see like what he has in the bag and what can he contribute to sort of the next version of this team. And so that to me is still really frustrating, man. Again, I'm okay with the selection, but I'm not okay with the consistency, because if you're going to have the same conversation around Novak Mikcevic not being on the bench and being a starter, you got to have the same conversation. You got to have the same lens around Julian Aude and John Nelson, right? In my opinion.
Yeah. What does he got to do to get a look in? The Galaxy have been suffering for goals. Julian Aude is one of those players that's good on the ball that could, create a little bit for you. What are you seeing in the stats here, Ananda, that maybe will influence our predictions?
I mean, I just pulled up.
Speaking
honestly,
of, drop them.
Yeah, I just pushed, or I just put the same stats as last game. So these are a little bit older, but nothing's changed, Rob. I think I just want to put these up for reference, and that we know you've talked about San Jose being an elite offensive team. Also, one of the things that we have to watch out for is, again, look at that possessions won, final third per match, right? They're a team that likes to win the ball high up the pitch, especially in Stanford Stadium. Now, Rob, you have more experience than I do on this. If I'm not mistaken, Stanford Stadium is not known for having a good pitch, right? It's a bit bobbly, right? It's a bit heavy. Am I wrong in saying that? I seem to remember somewhere that like Stanford is not as great of a pitch as PayPal Park. I could be wrong about that, but in any case, they're at home, right? So
yeah, and I don't know about the pitch specifically. I don't remember any comments about the pitch, but the Stanford game is big up there, man. I mean, everybody goes out there and just basically bashes on the Galaxy for 2.5 hours, and again, this team isn't built for that. Like a 10-minute injury time, got them to concede and drop 2 points. Things like this matter. Maybe not to last year's team, but this year's team, last year's team would have relished in that. This year's team, I think, will be cowed by that, and it's a big atmosphere up there because they want to beat the Galaxy so bad.
You know what? You triggered something in my mind when you said that, which is that's the other thing about this, Rob, which is it's not just belief, but didn't you feel like last year's team had a chip on their shoulder? They had something that they wanted to prove. They felt like they had to prove to everyone that 2023 was an aberration. Ricky Puig had to prove everyone that he was an MVP caliber player that could lead a team to a championship, right? Maya Yoshida had something to prove that he's not an old raggedy defender, which this year it's tough to look the other way. But I feel like last year's team had a chip on their shoulder. This year's team, I said it in preseason even, I'm not sure the mentality was in the right place, and how would they respond to having that thirst to becoming back-to-back champions. And so I think that's it's not just belief, Papa. I think there's no chip on their shoulder this year. And I think that's worrying, man, for me.
So what you're saying is 2026 is going to go real hard.
I mean, it sounds like that's probably the only saving grace for people to reverse their opinion on Greg Vanney right now, which is where we were, which is what the exact conversation we were having in 2023. So
yay, man! So what are we gonna do? Just like hit play and record on old episodes? So
honestly, I was even thinking of like putting up that old Judge Sophie episode, the one that we did where I argued to keep Greg Vanney, where you argued no, fire him, right? And you were defending the players. I feel like because honestly, a lot of that conversation has so much weight even to this year. So I might dig that one up. I might put that one up.
Yeah, it's definitely clippable because we can kind of be like, hey, this is what I was thinking back then, this is what I'm thinking now, and see if it's changed. But anyway, yeah. Ananda, we've already talked about this offense here for San Jose. I mean, the front three are deadly and dangerous, and then you have guys like Jones and LaRue who have been assisting well as well. I mean, LaRue has 3 and 3. The youngster has been playing really, really well there in midfield. Jones has 5 assists. I mean, and then you have the player that we were talking about is criminally underrated and should be on the All-Star team, Christian Espinoza, pulling the strings. Chicho has 10 and 1. Espinoza has 8 and 4. Joseph has 8 and 1. So look for one of these 3 guys to get a goal. Maybe look for all 3 of them to get a goal.
Or just look for Preston Judd to get a game winner again. That always happens. that was written in the stars, man. That's just the Galaxy curse this year. I mean, I was surprised Cabral didn't come on and score last night, to be honest.
Yeah, no, but you could tell that he really, really wanted to.
Well, the funniest part, by the way, was him like arguing with Mihailovic and for not hitting their coverages or something like that. That was hilarious to me. So
I didn't even catch that one.
Oh man, hilarious.
I must have been bummed out already. Guys, start dropping your game predictions in chat. Let us know what you think is going to be the score for this one. Let us know if you think the Galaxy is going to get a win here against San Jose in the Cali Clasico. But before you and I get to that moment, Ananda, I'm going to ask you a really important question. Like, bien importante.
¿Qué pasó?
Para que el Galaxy gane este partido, tienen que, for the Galaxy to win this match, they have to ...
Put bags of garlic in their locker room before the game and do a seance. I don't know, man. At this point, like, you got to have some
rezar.
exactly. You got to pray to Raquinho. You got to do whatever. But man, I think based off of the comments post match, which again to me it left me frustrated in the fact that Greg talked about the lack of intensity. So I think what's always the saying, Rob? It's like you have to earn your right to play in the game. So I think that's I mean, look, if that's was your problem in Colorado, then that is that's a minimum. That's a bare minimum requirement, right? To be be worth have your place in the game, like, have your place in the game be worth it. And so I think that's for any chance they have to match the intensity. Like, because if that's not going to happen, San Jose is going to pump 3, 4, 5 on you, and we've seen that before, even 7, right, in New York. So they've got to match that intensity, man. It's and they've got to stay in the game. All the other details and stuff like that will iron itself out. And it's funny because, and maybe I'll throw another wild card in there because it's fresh in my mind. I just literally just watched before this game, man. Like you're laughing over there because probably chat's going off. I'm not looking at chat right now, but
no, I'm laughing because you have these moments of like optimism, and I'm just like,
no. This is not optimism, but maybe it's like a something that I hadn't thought about, which is, so I just watched the season finale of Welcome to Wrexham, right? And before one of their games that they won the promotion, one of the things that was said in the locker room was play like you were playing football when you were 10 or 12 years old. Just that feeling of joy, that feeling of optimism.
Enjoy your football.
And just enjoying your football, man. And it's like I said before, I feel like this team's not enjoying their football. You can see it in their faces. It's hard labor for them. It's like, it feels like just, I don't know, the worst form of manual labor possible, but they've got to start enjoying their football again. And because I'm not seeing that. Yes, losing, it's not helping, but just even like, I mean, yes, these players get paid lots of money to play this beautiful game. A lot of us wish we were in their shoes, right? So, but I think a lot of this too is just like, find that enjoyment back in the game, find that enjoyment again, being teammates with each other and trusting each other and all that stuff. So I know it's probably like super kumbaya and super like heady, but I mean, what else can we say about this team, right? I think it's not about it's all in between here. It's all in between the ears to me. I think those execution things, they can all be worked out in the training field. So
what you're saying is that the team needs to come together and have a sesh.
Have a seance or something. Like I said, put some garlic cloves in the locker room, man. They need to have their voodoo dolls out,
Not the kind of session I was talking about, but okay, well, we'll go with that too. The Galaxy to win this game. I already said it. Didn't get it said. San Jose's looked good. I mean, I saw a lot of their game yesterday against Dallas, and yeah, I mean, they scored 4. They could have had maybe 3 or 4 more. So yeah, no, I mean, like I said, kind of cheekily, they have to pray, but no, they got to play for each other. And it's kind of piggybacking on what you said. It's like part of playing for each other is sacrificing for your teammate and sacrificing for the shirt. If you're doing those small things, that becomes infectious, and then you start to enjoy your football.
Even things like Nasi going back and winning a tackle, like right winning a tackle or covering your teammate when your teammate made a mistake, and then you look back and everyone's clapping at each other, or making like a last ditch tackle, and then and then the defender and the goalie are like literally like fist bumping each other and like chest bumping each other. Those are all like chemistry things that we saw last year that we're not seeing this year, right? And again, when you play like you're 10 or 12 years old again on the park, you stop thinking, you stop overthinking. Things become instinctual. You don't think about, should I lay this off to my teammate or take the shot myself? You go with what your instinct says of when you played football your whole entire life, right? And it just goes to the point that these players are overthinking. So yeah, man, I think all these things they hold weight, and we'll just see how the team comes out mentally against San Jose.
Somebody referenced Leo referenced Roy Kent. You know, and another Ted Lasso call out. Maybe what this team needs is a good psychiatrist to kind of like get them over that hump, man. Like you said, it's all between the ears. It's all mental right now, and you know, they gotta be feeling that siege mentality as well, man. Like that, like it's like bad when things start going this bad. I talked about the quicksand earlier in the year. You know, when things start going this bad, this team is in that quicksand, and they probably feel like it's them against the world. And a lot of the fans have turned on them, and you know, first off, that has to do with their own results on the field, and partly because of the Galaxy's response to the protests and occupation of Los Angeles, which isn't on the team whatsoever, but unfortunately, you know, it also impacts them. Man, it's just all these things, you know, just come to a head, and you know, you just I've said it a bunch. I don't think this team has the mentality right now to overcome them, and maybe, like you said, it's because they don't have that leader. Maybe Ansez, Martin, and Gaston had this team in constant check. We let them go and didn't replace that locker room presence. You know, maybe it's that there is that leader. However, you know, Greg's been asked about that too. The players have been asked about that too, and they've called out Marco Reus, they've called out Diego Fagundes, they've called out Maya as being examples of these great leaders.
Yeah.
But
And it's only the fact that the team's doing so poorly that it leaves ourselves open to maybe overanalyzing these things, right? Like, but then you think about it, like, and we saw it in that documentary, Rob, of how big of an influence Martin Cáceres was on a guy like Emi Garces, young center back, right? I'm pretty sure that in training, Martin and he was mentoring him on things, you know, things to think about, whether it's positionally or what. And now that he's in a rough patch, I think you do miss a guy like that in the locker room to kind of settle him down and get him back to his best. So yes, it could be over analyzing, but how could we not? We have to look for certain things because the things that we're seeing on the pitch are inexplicable at the moment.
Too true. I know you and Doc Rack, shout out Dr. Raquinho, worked on these betting odds. How about you hit us up?
-111 for San Jose Earthquakes, 53%, plus 270. That's 27% probability for the LA Galaxy. Odds have kind of shifted a little bit, especially for the Galaxy side. So plus 240, 24% chance now, probably. Draw at a plus 285. Boy, would I love a point in San Jose with the way things are going at the moment. But those are pretty good payout there, guys. If you are feeling your LA Galaxy could get a probably precious road point at this point away to a team, a red hot team like San Jose. But remember, guys, Rob went first last time.
All lies. All lies. Chat, you were here. You know what happened. But I don't want to fight about it. I definitely went first last time, but you know, I'll just go ahead and go first this time because you know I don't want to be contrarian for contrarian's sake. Let's go ahead and leave this pod in a good way. Yeah, I don't see the Galaxy getting a win here. I see them getting a tie at best. But yeah, the way San Jose has been playing and the way the Galaxy has been playing based on evidence, I got to say that it's going to be a 3-1.
3-1 loss?
3-1 loss.
I'm with you. I'm gonna be Scrooge, man. I don't. Who said 3-1? Was that Lex earlier? Yeah.
Finally, he's on my level.
Joe 13. Cool. Oh no, he changed his prediction to 4-1.
Oh dang, even worse.
7-1, maybe. And damn, son, that is the bloodbath that I hope doesn't happen. But again, until the mentality changes for this team from the other night, not out of the realm of possibility. And especially, this is the other thing too, man, is like, you know, going back to Vanny, it's like, I don't know why there's no mode in this team where it's almost like someone used the word accountability earlier. There's no one in that team that just says, okay, especially after like that, those Colorado goals came within what, less than 10 minutes of each other, right? Like 2 successive goals, bang, bang, or something like that. So
Colorado was, or they've had other instances where there's been like bang bang after each other.
Whether it's that or instances like San Diego where we score first and they score the minute after, right? There needs to be like some accountability or some pride to say, guys, we just scored. Let's just make this game ugly for the next 5-10 minutes. Let's just hold this lead, right? Let's just hold on to what we got. There's none of that defensive resoluteness. So it's like, if we don't have that, especially against a team like San Jose, one of the best attacking teams in the league, that's a recipe for disaster. So if the Galaxy give up the first goal, watch out, Papa. Watch out. The floodgates might open just because of the mental state I think this team is in it, especially after that game in Colorado, man. So for us to have any chance, they got to score first. But and even that, I'm holding my breath still.
Yeah, I've called Galaxy wins a lot this year, and they've been losses. So hopefully I'm definitely wrong, and they come out with that win. But Ananda, I think, again, based on the evidence that we've seen, it doesn't seem likely. You've given a prediction of a loss. I've given a prediction of a loss. Basically, everyone in chat is on the same lines. Hopefully, they prove us all wrong. Again, Cali Clasico is one of those matches that it doesn't matter what form is like. The teams go hard at each other. Hopefully, we see that. Hopefully, we see the Galaxy come out and play with some pride. They play for each other, and they get 3 points. Do you have anything else to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, and just to build off your point too, again, this year has been just, I haven't had any enjoyment watching the team this year. And it's not just because of the losing. Yes, the losing absolutely has a big part to do with that. But it's like we said, everything is Groundhog's Day. Everything is predictable, right? And so even if we lose this weekend, Papa, like, just do the things that make us proud as Galaxy fans. Like, fight for the shirt, defend the badge, like you always say. No one deserved it this week, right? And that should tell you guys something. No one deserved our defending the badge. No one stepped up, and whether it was, pulling the team together or grabbing a guy by the scruff of the neck and saying, hey, I need to hold you accountable for X, Y, and Z, or, running back and sprinting back to make a challenge when one of your teammates has made a mistake, right? Those are the things that make us fans proud. And right now there's nothing to be proud of this team. Even the most minimal thing, which is 110% effort, you're leaving that pitch absolutely sweaty, and your camiseta is drenched in sweat, right? You always say that, like, leave that camiseta drenched in sweat. And I just feel like we're not seeing that enough to make us proud of this team on any level, unfortunately. So just make us proud, Galaxy. Just do something that makes us proud.
I can't even add to that, because that's pretty much how I've been feeling for the past,
Give me something. Like, give me something, bro. Dame algo.
Yeah,
I mean,
it must be incredibly frustrating to be a Galaxy fan at the moment. So anyway, we'll wrap here. We want to thank you guys for being here with us in chat and enduring basically all the bad stats, all the badness we had to tell you about. We do appreciate you guys hanging out and making our lives more fun and more enjoyable. We got to go through all the bad stuff. At least you're here with us to lift us up.
Las buenas y las malas.
Y en las buenas y en las malas. Lo apreciamos mucho. If you are here, it's because you found us at youtube.com/@LacunaGalaxiana. We thank you so much for doing so. Go ahead and subscribe to all the socials at Lacuna Galaxiana, basically on everything. Subscribe to this pod. Ananda says 1/3 of y'all don't. We would appreciate it if you do. We're on the march to 700. Help us get there. Without further ado, wait, I got to tell you about the next show, Monday, June 30th. We'll have Keith Costigan on with us, MLS and Apple TV analyst. You guys have, grown up listening to him and his call. And then a week from today, on Thursday, July 3rd, we'll bring you a Vancouver Whitecaps preview for the match happening on the 4th of July. And hopefully we'll have a really nice special guest for you guys. But you'll only know if you subscribe. Without further ado, aquí nos vamos. One thing left to say. G's up!
Te queremos, chat.
Muchísimo.